I'm a firm believer that everybody needs, every young person. Now, Mohamed and I started together when he was in 6th grade, and went all the way through high school, still now in his freshman year. Every young person needs a mentor. Many of us might get that through our mom and dad. Many of us might get that through a teacher or a coach, or maybe it's if you're young and you have a boss at work, you had a part-time job, maybe you get it through that person. But the reality is we all need that mentor. We all need that coach in life. And mentoring is just being there. It's just being with somebody during that time of adolescence. How's he going to do this? What's he going to do given who Mohamed is at that time and his circumstances in life? And then all of a sudden you're sitting in this auditorium, Northrop Auditorium on the campus of the University of Minnesota, and he's graduating with honors and he's getting his diploma. And from the very beginning, the goal was to go to college. And you see it. And I think it's something that you feel more than you see, because we always talk about setting goals and accomplishing goals, and that's exactly what Mohamed did. He set a goal and he accomplished it. I think as other challenges go, I think it's just challenging growing up, and for me to adapt to who Mohamed was becoming. And he wasn't a 6th grader all those years. I mean, he began to ask some pretty important questions about life. He began to seriously look at his education. He began to ask questions about, can I do this? What should I do? And it's challenging when you have a sense of responsibility to provide answers that will eventually guide this boy into the sense of manhood, where he will make good decisions. And so that part was challenging, because it is a responsibility. But when you work with somebody like Mohamed, it's a great responsibility. And as we moved from Anderson, to Mercy, and then to Mercy to South, even though eventually we came out of the school-based program, it tended to ground us in that experience that was very important to Mohamed, and that was his education, which is sort of at the center of our relationship. It was his education, his growing up, his going through that time of adolescence. And I think that school-based program just sort of lended itself to that kind of development. There was a time, in terms of a challenge, that because of my change in work, I left Abbott Northwestern and went and worked in a school where, in hindsight, I think I just lost my sense of priorities. And Mohamed had moved from 8th grade into 9th grade, and we lost touch with one another. And I think the challenge was, for me, in hindsight, I should have been able to maintain what was most important in my life, and we lost touch. And after his freshman year in high school, he called me. And I can still remember that call. And I think the lesson that I learned in that is he probably had the priorities straight, and I didn't. And the challenge was one of those where we just had to get back together and start again, and we did, and continued through high school. Can you remember that?
Yeah, I actually remember that. It was my grandma who started it all off. What she did was, she had a picture of John and I. She had a picture of us, and then so I wasn't at home. I was at school. So she took that picture. She took the bus. She went to his old workplace, which was Abbott Northwestern Hospital. She went there. And she doesn't speak English. So she had that picture, and she was showing people the picture of John and asking where he was. And then she ended up running into someone that knew him, and he didn't work there at the time. He stopped working there. And then so she found this guy, and she got John's number from him. And then she came back home, and then she gave me the number. And then I ended up calling him, and he was really excited to hear back from me. Yeah. Yes. The Civil War was terrible. On a daily basis, you would hear about a family member who just passed away because of a bomb or missile that hit his home on accident. As you walk down the street, you will see the remains of what used to be a house. Every day you lived in terror, not knowing whether it would be you who might be hit next. After we moved to Kenya, things weren't much different. Police would always harass you and arrest you for no reason, and not let you go until you gave them the little money you had. We lived in a refugee camp for a while, and the living conditions there were horrible. There were poisonous spiders and scorpions that if they bit you, you could have died from it. Without any mail in the house to supply for us, we had to depend on the neighbors, and I was considered too young to support the family. Even after all I've been through, I'm still determined to achieve my goal of one day becoming a doctor and going back home to help those in need, while at the same time taking care of my grandma, achieving honors in school, as well as contributing outside of school. I will also always remember where I came from and take full advantage of the opportunities that are being provided for me. I was having a hard time transitioning, and school was hard. Everything was hard. I wasn't getting the system, so I needed someone to help me through all that has been through it, because none of my family members went to school. So yeah, it was really great to have him around. I never used to like reading, so he got me into reading. We actually used to read books together, and that was actually my first time ever reading a book and finishing it on my own through John with his help. Yeah. Always listens to what I had to say, even if it's like, you know, things that don't make sense at times. He just sits there, talks to me, listens to what I had to say, and always, you know, provides that guide that I always needed. Because I always knew what I wanted to do in life. I always knew I wanted to become a doctor, but I just never knew how I wanted to get there. Because I had a big goal, but I didn't know how to work my way up there, and he showed me the way somewhat. Yeah. Without big brothers, big sisters, I don't think I'll be where I am today. It gave me a lot of self-confidence, because before this program, I never thought getting an A was possible before I met John. He's the one who told me, you know, any student can get an A. You just gotta put your mind into it. Whatever you put your mind into it, you can achieve it. And from there on, I set my mind to getting A's, and my grades started improving. It went from C's and D's to A's and B's. And now I'm really focused on my education. I don't think I'll be as focused as I am right now without the mentorship I got from John. The power of mentoring means a lot to me. Yeah, actually, I lived it, so it's really amazing. It could change someone's life. I mean, I could have been somewhere else right now. I could have been probably at home or hanging out with friends and not going to school. But by having that mentorship program there, it just shows you the way that education is whatever you want to do in life. You have to get educated and you have to go to school and learn. So it helped me see that.